Welcome back. This is Minister Gaines again. We've been talking about a young man that I think his story is very intriguing. Also, to see just what you can really make or bring out exactly what he was actually talking about. I ask you to continue to take the time out to listen to the story as I continue to read different passages from this book about his story. But one thing that I want you to keep in mind that he's a young man named Pluke. This time, I think he is somewhere around 8, 9 years old. But the thing about it is that I think that he was a little different than most kids his age. He didn't seem like he was out there always playing or playing with toys. It just seemed like he was always doing something more of what you expect an adult or an older child to do. Maybe he didn't have the opportunity. Maybe his father didn't allow him to do these different things. But if we think back over the years or over the life story of people in the Bible to what God has planned for us. You know, in Jeremiah, he says that in 1 and 5 that he knew you when you was in your mother womb. And he's already made a plan for you. So maybe he was already preparing him and he was already at that point at that young age to start to walk in his purpose. I think about Solomon. Solomon, when he became king, there were many things that he could have asked for and would have been given. But instead, Solomon thought more of what he could become and what he could do to make life better, not for himself, but also how to lead. And the thing that he asked of, instead of a toy or money, he asked for wisdom. So with wisdom, he became knowledgeable, very knowledgeable to the point to where he understood things that you just would not imagine that someone his age would comprehend or want to really do or be a part of. So not saying that Pluto is another Solomon, but just think of it as the same line because they both were young. And we both knows that God is both of their fathers. Just as he was Solomon's father, he also was Pluto's heavenly father. So let's just get into his story. I'm going to read another little passage from his book, Three Doubles, Tears of Pain and Joy. The topic I'm going to read from the day is called An Angel With Me. And it says, I was around 9 or 10, and one day while I was planting sugarcane, the bill, the hook of the cane knife got stuck in the top of my foot. When I pulled it out, a piece of meat about 2 or 3 inches long came out with it. He's talking about his father, a knife out of his pocket and cut it off and threw it away. He put some mud on my foot and tore his shirt so that he could bandage it up, he said. Go back to work. Thank God for being there and looking over me, he said. I would never leave you or forsake you. I knew that whenever something didn't go as planned, but I was still around and able to talk about it. It was because I had an angel with me. We moved from Rodeo Plantation to Frisco and started going to school in New Road. I played baseball, basketball, and football, and ran track. After school, I would stay and play with the kids. One of my teachers who lived close to where I live would give me a ride home after I played with my friends after school. We used to choose teams, and I would always get picked. There was always people cheering for the other kids, my friends, but no one for me that I knew of. As I got older, I was told that things that make me ask a lot of questions, but I received no answers from him or her. Who am I? Where am I going? What am I doing here? But I am not alone. Why doesn't anyone love me? Never give up. God be with me. I never seen the Father who loved me. He held me tight. I could not help myself. They gave up on me, and I got into, as I get into my story, I was told, I learned there was a God who loved and was always there. But even with an angel in the field with me, I didn't know who I was or what I was supposed to be or what to even look for or hope for. I looked around the field and even behind the wagons and tractors, but I saw no one my age. Where was the guys I shot marbles with or played tops or baseball or hide and seek? Well, it was Jimp, Topsy, and Hook. Those are some of his friends. When I worked in the field, none of my friends was there. Frisco was an area without many houses. Next to our house was a cow pasture with rabbits, chickens, other birds and snakes and deers. I would walk to the back of the yard where there was some water and trees. I used to watch him go back there, and he would kill ducks and sometimes catch fish and he said that we couldn't eat. But one day when he was working, I took his gun, went to the back of the yard and shot a bird. Oh man, did that scare me. Pulling the trigger knocked me on the ground and hurt my arm and shoulder. I left the bird, picked up the gun, and ran back to the house. I knew I was in trouble, so I thought I had done something wrong with his gun because I never saw the gun knock him to the ground or knock him over. I went back to the house and I put the gun next to the bed where he always kept it. I knew I was in trouble. She was in the kitchen, my mother. When I came back, she asked me where I have been, and I told her in the backyard. She said, "Don't you go back there in those woods. I hear someone shooting back there. Go to the hen house and bring me 2 eggs." Yes, ma'am. I got the eggs for her, and she was standing by the back door. Yeah, catch that chicken. I ran after the chicken, and I caught it next to the fence. She said, "Wring his neck." I had never done that before, but I saw it done so many times and always wanted to do it. I took chicken by the neck, by the head, and I turned it round and round. She said, "Spin it harder." More and more I spin the chicken. She said, "Now drop him." I dropped it to the ground, and all the chicken did was jump, but his head was still on his body. She said, "Get the chicken again and try it again." So I went and I picked up the chicken again, and I turned him and turned him and spent him and turned him, and I popped him again and dropped him to the ground. I had bloods on my hand, but the chicken still had his head on his body. I didn't know what else to do. So He told me to bring the chicken to her, and she took a knife and cut his head off. I don't know if that is something that we want our kids to do, but living also, I want you to remember that this young man, that he grew up on a plantation, so life was a little bit different. So with him being on the plantation and learning how to do things other ways, um, think of those that was coming up in the biblical days, that they possibly did some things that we didn't know how to do all the time ourselves, or was not willing to do. But I still want you to just keep in mind that this young man is only 8 or 9 years old. But as I continue to read snippets from his story, I want you to keep in mind that he's just a young man, and always ask yourself, what will I be doing, or what have I done at that age? Have I been productive? Did I learn anything? Did I do anything unusual? Or did I do something that maybe would help me later on in life? Because as we continue the story, we're going to find out that he had a very interesting life. But his life was all because he made his life because of what he had learned as a young boy. So I want you to always ask yourself, where am I? What am I doing here? Have I reached my goal? Did I learn anything coming up from the things that I thought that possibly was bad? That probably was not as bad as I thought that they was during that time. I also want to leave you with this. As Paul was talking to the Romans in chapter 5, he says, Romans 5, 3 and 4, we are glory in our suffering because we know that suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope. As long as we got something we can hope for, or something we can wish for, it's up to us to make a choice. How much are we willing to sacrifice or to go through to get there? And I really believe that Luke did that. I think that he learned a lot. He sacrificed a lot to learn or to do what he was asked to do. But most of all, he never gave up on life. He never gave up on hope. I ask you to think about that, and hopefully that when we talk again next week, that I will be able to share a few more things with you as we continue to go down this path that I think this really would help a lot of us, a lot of you, to maybe just rethink the life that you are living. Ask yourself, is this a life that I want to live? Is this a life that God has chosen for me? Because he tells us that he would never forsake us or leave us. So if we keep him first in all that we do, we would have what we ask or what we want to do. But remember, this whole story is all about choice. What choice did you make? What did you choose to do with your life? Now, who did you choose to even follow, or who you choose to imitate? I'm hoping that you have chose the right path. And if you're not going down the path to be productive, then rethink it and choose another route. Until then, I shall see you. May God bless you, and may God be with you. And I will be with you next week, hopefully around the same time, the same day, the same station. Love you, and talk to you later.